All right, welcome. Thank you for joining me for a restorative yoga class. This class is all floor-based, so you want to make sure that you're able to get down onto the floor. And whenever you're ready, you can just join me here in a comfortable seated position. So if we haven't met, my name is Holly Hancock. I'm a full-time yoga teacher based out of Washington, D.C. I also grew up in the United Church of Christ in the Pacific Northwest Conference, and I'm still active with outdoor ministries and camp in the Pacific Northwest Conference. I am currently moderator of Cleveland Park Congregational United Church of Christ in the Central Atlantic Conference. So I'm so excited to be here with you to practice yoga and kind of join my love of God, my love of neighbor, my love of the United Church of Christ with my love of yoga. So again, this is a floor-based class, so you'll want to make your way onto the floor. You don't need any fancy yoga props. You don't even need a yoga mat, just a carpeted area. And you might want a couple pillows and a blanket nearby. Again, no fancy yoga props, just some household items like some pillows and blankets. So we're going to start up by sitting up nice and tall. You can sit crisscross applesauce or in Sukhasana, easy pose with one foot in front of the other. Maybe take a moment here, just rock back and forth for a moment, and then sit up nice and tall. You can close your eyes. If closing your eyes is distracting, you can do a soft fuzzy gaze just beyond the tip of your nose. And just take a deep, life-giving breath. I firmly believe that when I practice yoga, God is with me. And I believe that God is with all of us as well. So just take a moment breathing that in. Notice if you're kind of leaning forward, anticipating what comes next, or maybe leaning back, thinking about something that happened earlier today. Sometimes when we get distracted, we'll kind of lean to one side. So you want to sit up nice and tall as a symbolic gesture that you're starting to arrive in your body, arrive in your breath, and arrive in your yoga practice. We'll start with a breathing exercise that I call I am, thank you. It's pretty simple. The idea is you inhale through your nose. You're going to say to yourself, I am, and then whatever comes to mind. It could be I am loved or I am breathing. And then as you exhale through your nose, you're going to say, thank you. And we'll do this for 2 minutes. If at any point your I am, thank you statements start to creep into negative self-talk, I invite you to have I am, thank you statements on your heart that are true and that are kind to yourself. So sitting up tall, and eyes can be closed. I'll start us out with 3, and then I'll give us some time just to enjoy the I am, thank you statements on our own. Relax your jaw, seal your lips. As you inhale through your nose, silently repeat to yourself, I am a beloved child of God. Exhale through your nose, thank you. Inhale through your nose, I am practicing yoga. Exhale through your nose, thank you. Inhale through your nose, I am in my body. Exhale through your nose, thank you. And we'll continue just with 2 minutes of these I am, thank you statements that you can repeat to yourself. If your mind is wandering, just gently return your breath, return to your thoughts, returning to the I am thank you statements. Let's do 3 more rounds of I am thank you. Whenever you're ready, let the words go from your mind. Just keep your breath normal, in and out through the nose. So we're not forcing or fighting. Now, during that breathing, right, it's likely that at some point your mind wandered. Mine did, right? That's part of being human, is our minds wander. And if your mind did perhaps wander to something in particular, maybe something on your to-do list, or just like a general feeling that's kind of been following you today, you can notice whatever it is that's on your mind and your heart. You can name it and acknowledge it. And then just politely set that aside. That'll be there for you after yoga if you want it. But for now, just give yourself some time to be with your breath, to be with your body. I firmly believe that self-care is community care, and that it's really important for us to take time to set aside our day and our to-do lists and our responsibilities, and just to take time for ourselves. And I think that this is actually God's work. I think this is something that we're called to do as children of God and as people living out the gospel, right? Even Jesus took breaks and said, bye friends, but I have to go sit by myself for a while. So we should do the same thing too. If your eyes are closed, you can slowly open your eyes, sit up tall, drop your shoulders, lift your chest. And we're just gonna start by moving our neck. So you can place your hands on either sides of your hips if that feels good. Again, notice if you're leaning forward to one side. Try to evenly distribute your body weight on both sit bones. Take an inhale through your nose, stretch the crown of your head all the way up to the ceiling. And as you exhale through your nose, start to tilt your right ear towards right shoulder, stretching the left side neck. It's worth noting that I'm not mirroring you, so it might look like I'm moving my head to the left when in fact I am moving my head to the right. You are welcome to follow my words or my body movements throughout class. Keep the shoulders down, chest proud. I'll do the right side of postures first, unless I forget, which sometimes happens, but in general, just know that we'll do the right side first. Good, as you're ready, slowly roll your chin down, chin to chest, and then keep rolling, roll your left ear towards left shoulder, stretching the right side neck. And right away, you might find that this side feels a little or a lot different. It does for me. We're not symmetrical, we're not butterflies, we're perfectly imperfect. And nowhere in like the ancient Vedic texts of yoga does it say that yoga is about symmetry. Yoga is about self-realization and even God realization. And sometimes their self-realization for the day is my right shoulder is tighter than my left shoulder. And that's a good place to be. Slowly roll your head down, chin to chest, and then roll your right ear back towards right shoulder, stretching the left side neck again. I always say if you have a yoga teacher that says yoga will make you symmetrical, run, because it's a lie, right? I could do all the yoga in the world and my two eyes will never be the exact same shape. That's part of our human experience, is that we're imperfect, right? And we're still uniquely loved for exactly who we are. Slowly roll your head down, chin to chest, and then again, roll left ear towards left shoulder, stretching right side neck. Reconnect to your breath, in and out through the nose. We're gonna breathe through the nose throughout class. Good. Slowly roll your head down, chin to chest, and this time just let your head relax down. Now it's just the neck spine that we're moving at the beginning of class, so keep the spine nice and long, shoulders down, abdomen slightly in, chin to chest, look down. Relax your jaw, feeling gentle compression to the throat, gentle extension to the neck, never a point of pain. Good. Slowly roll your head back up, look straight ahead. And this time start to lift your nose, lift your chin, look up towards the ceiling. So now we're stretching through the throat, compressing the neck spine, especially in a world where we tend to hunch forward a lot. Looking up might feel uncomfortable, but it's really good for our back, right? Especially in a world where we're often like hunching forward, looking at our phones, looking up and back is really important for spine health. Good. Slowly roll your head back up, look straight ahead. Inhale, lengthen. And on the breath out, drop your head again. Relax your jaw. So can you tuck your chin in towards your chest and relax your jaw at the same time? Those things are related, but they're not actually dependent on one another. So you might notice that you can relax your jaw here and tuck your chin in at the same time. And if you've never tried those two things at once, it might be a little confusing, right? That might be like a new neuromuscular pathway that you're creating in your body. And this is true with yoga in general. Sometimes when we do something for the first time, it's just a little confusing for the body. It takes a moment for the body and the brain to sync up. And that's where the breath comes in. You're just using your breath to soothe your body, to relax your jaw as you drop your head. As you're ready, slowly roll your head back up, looking straight ahead. And then lift your nose, lift your chin, look up and back again. Maybe the head drops back all the time, maybe not. We're never forcing the body. Yoga can be challenging at times, and that's okay, but we're never going to a point of pain, a point where we could cause harm to ourselves or others. Good. When you're ready, slowly roll your head back up, looking straight ahead. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale through your nose, look over your right shoulder. So now we're twisting the spine. Lean back a little bit, like you could lean your body against a wall behind you and maybe your right ear would touch that wall. The spine moves in 6 different directions, right, left, backward, forward, twisting to each side. And we'll do all of those multiple times. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, look over right shoulder. Good. Slowly unwind. Take your time. You want to go slowly out of the spine twist. Let's do the other side. On the breath in, stretch up. And on the breath out, look over left shoulder. So use your eyes to look over the left shoulder. Where eyes go, body knows to follow. What the mind can conceive, the body can achieve. But like I mentioned, it can take a little bit of time for your mind and your body to sync up, right? And that's where the breath comes in. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, look over left shoulder. Good. Slowly, carefully unwind. Take your time. Next, we're going to do some seated cat-cows. You're going to place your hands on your knees, and I'll show you from the side. The idea here is that we're going to round our spine and bend our spine. So we're going to articulate our back here. So we're going to start, sit up nice and tall. It's a theme. Inhale, stretch up. And on your exhale breath, drop your head and round your spine. So think about moving your belly button to the wall behind you. Press your hips forward, hips to ribs, ribs to hips, chin down, jaw relaxed. This is cat pose. Meow. You are rounding your spine like an angry cat. On your next inhale, we're going to move the abdomen forward for cow pose. So press your abdomen forward, stick your butt out a little bit, squeeze your shoulders together, roll your shoulders back and down, look up and back. Exhale through your nose, pull your abdomen in, round your spine. Think about bringing your belly button to your middle spine and your middle spine to the back wall. In both cat and cow, you want to keep the shoulders out of the ears. Relax your jaw, look down, press your hips forward. On your inhale, you're going to move your abdomen forward, bring your hips back, open through your heart space, shoulders down, looking up and back, cow pose. Exhale, cat pose, make it feel good. This is compression to the abdominal wall, extension to the spine. You want to slide shoulder blades, scapula apart. And then last one, cow pose, extension to the front of the body, compression of the spine. Squeeze your shoulders together like you have a number 2 pencil in between your shoulders. You want to squeeze it together, look up and back. And then slowly come back into a neutral position. Again, like you could lean your whole back against a wall behind you. Next, we're going to do a nice little spine twist. Inhale, reach your right arm up, stretch up nice and tall. Exhale, place your right hand close behind you like a second spine for support. Inhale, reach your left arm up, stretching left side body. Exhale, place left hand on right knee. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, look over right shoulder. Notice if you lean to the right, evenly distribute your body weight on both sit bones. So it's just the spine twisting. When our back is tight, which is like all of us, when our back is tight, often the hips will try to compensate by moving, but you really want to isolate the spine here. Compress your left hand into your right knee as you look over your right shoulder. Good. As you're ready, slowly, carefully unwind, come back to center, take your time, no rush. Let's do the other side. Inhale, reach your left arm up, getting some stretch in the left side body. Exhale, place your left hand close behind you, maybe thumb pointing towards you, fingers pointing away from you. I like to tent my fingers like this. Inhale, reach your right arm up, stretch. On the breath out, place right hand on left knee. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, slowly pull your abdomen in, look over left shoulder twist. So on this side, you want to lean a little to the right, drop the shoulders, lift your chest, engage your abdominal wall. Keep your eyes open. Remember where eyes go, body knows to follow. Look over left shoulder twist. Good, and as you're ready, slowly, carefully unwind, come back to center, look forward. Okay, keep your left leg bent. Bring your right leg out. And if you'd like, start to bring the right leg out a little bit more so you feel a nice inner thigh stretch. From here, you can place your right hand outside of your thigh and inhale, reach your left arm long overhead. Lengthen through your left arm and then drop the left shoulder down. So you might feel an inner thigh stretch and also a nice stretch to the left side body, gentle compression to the right side body, still just waking up the spine. Try to make your exhale a little longer than your inhale. Good, bring your left hand down. Left leg out, right leg in, other side. Reach your right arm long overhead, tilting a little to the left. Lengthen through the right arm, drop the shoulders down, look forward. Try to keep your head back so your neck is in line with the rest of your spine. Again, just a gentle extension to the right side body, gentle compression to the left side body, never a point of pain. Good, slowly come up. Keep your left leg long, and this time bring your right leg out. As you're ready, you're gonna stick your butt out a little bit, put your hands on the floor, and walk forward just a little bit. Shoulders back, chest proud, so a nice long spine from the side, just getting a gentle stretch to the inner thighs as you hinge at your hips and breathe through your nose. Good, slowly walk your hands back in, and this time we're gonna bring the legs together. So when the legs are wide, we stretch the inner thighs. When the feet are together, we stretch the hamstrings. And again, walk your hips back a little bit. Inhale, sweep your arms overhead, big stretch up. Exhale, fold. Hands to floor, shoulders back. And flex your toes back just a little bit. Keep the shoulders back. So one of the things that I think people don't fully understand about yoga is how much body proportions matter. If you, like me, have a long torso and short legs, you might be able to grab your feet here. If you have long legs, I'm so jealous. It might be hard to grab your feet here. So sometimes in yoga, when you see somebody touch like their fingers to their toes, you go, wow, they must be really flexible. And I push back on that a little bit and say, I bet they have a long torso. So just keep that in mind. On the one hand, yoga is a practice, just like we practice our faith, like you might practice law or medicine. Yoga is a practice. It's always evolving. It's a living tradition. And at the same time, you know, certain body proportions will make some postures a little bit more accessible and some postures a little bit more difficult. And every body proportion has those postures that are a little, you know, maybe more accessible and the ones that are like, ooh, that's really hard. Okay, good. Slowly roll yourself back up, walk up. And as you're ready, you're gonna make your way into tabletop. Knees under hips, hands under, wrists under shoulders. And just take a moment here, feel your knees in the floor, palms in the floor, pull your abdomen in, look forward. And then you're gonna walk your hands back and sink your hips down onto your heels. We're gonna start to transition into some longer held postures. So we'll hold postures for a minute, 2 minutes, maybe even 3 minutes. And while we do those, I will offer some affirmations that you can repeat to yourself if it feels good. So we're gonna start in a wide-legged child's pose. So your feet are together and your knees open up. And if you can't sit on your heels, that's really normal. This is where maybe some pillows or blankets can come into play. So, if you're a little tight and you find that you're here, you're welcome to place some pillows in between your calves and your thighs so that you feel a little bit more support. From here, you're just gonna walk your hands forward and bring your forehead to the floor. So this is a wide-legged child's pose. It's a really great way to stretch out the hips. You're stretching out your toes, your ankles, your knees, and your spine at the same time. I'm going to give you some different modifications and options. Again, you could place a pillow in or multiple pillows in between your hamstrings and your calves if you find that you have trouble getting your hips to your heels. If you have tight toes, knees, or ankles, and this does not feel good, you're welcome to roll up your yoga mat so that there's a little extra padding under your ankles. You could also place a blanket under your toes, your ankles, or your knees. If having your arms forward like this does not feel good to your shoulders, you can also have your arms down by your side. And you can also always place pillows or blankets under your chest, under your head. The idea here is we're opening through the hips, stretching out the toes, ankles, and stretching through the spine. But you want to make it your own and you want to make it feel good, right? Because this is time just for you. So if you need to grab blankets or pillows or some sort of other prop here, go for it. And then you're just making your way into your wide-legged child's pose. And we'll hold here for another minute. The affirmation for this posture, if you would like to use it, is I am a beloved child of God. So in our child's pose, right, this is an expression of who we are on the inside. I am a beloved child of God. I am a beloved child of God. I am a beloved child of God. Taking 3 more slow breaths here. As you inhale through your nose, feel the backs of your ribs expand. As you exhale through your nose, just let go of any tension that you might still be holding on to in your body, so that you melt into the posture, sink into the floor, let the floor hold you up. Breathing in and emptying out. As you're ready, you're going to look forward, slowly walk your hands back in, take your time sitting up. Whew, oh my, take a moment here at the top, and then you're going to turn around and make your way into our Savasana. First Savasana of the day, lying on your back. And have your arms and legs down by your side. Just let everything stretch out. So in that child's pose, right, we stretch the lower body, stretch the upper body, open the hips. We also, the more you sit down towards your heels, you do cut off a little bit of circulation to your feet, not to the point that it's dangerous, but if you've ever held child's pose for like 5 minutes, say, maybe your feet fall asleep. So now we're lying in this more neutral position. You get a nice rush of blood through your hips, your knees, your ankles, your toes. Sometimes the release from a posture is as therapeutic as the posture itself. Now, if lying on your back like this does not feel good, it's really normal. Couple options. You can place a small blanket or pillow under your lower back to support your lower back, or you can bend your legs so that your feet are on the floor and just let your knees rest together. This is a nice option as well if you feel pain in your lower back when you lie on your back. So this is our home base here, our Savasana. And as we move into other postures, if there's ever a posture that just is not for you, maybe from an injury, a surgery, an illness, it just does not work for your body, know that you can always come back to our home base of Savasana and just take an extended Savasana and let that be part of your yoga practice. So sometimes, if a posture is not accessible to me, I'll think like, oh, I'm missing out or I can't do yoga now, right? But actually think of like this, everything that we're doing in this is part of your yoga practice. Even how, let's say you take a drink of water, you want to do that mindfully. You're in Savasana, you do that mindfully. So everything you're doing during this time of self-care is an expression of who you are, and it's part of your self-care, your intentional time with yourself, your yoga practice. Next, we're going to do a posture called banana pose or bananasana, which is super fun. So picture in your mind's eye your favorite banana. It can be perfectly ripe and yellow. It could be like brown and bruised. It can be green. It could be Chiquita, Dole, Trader Joe's, Costco, hopefully fair trade, organic, right? And we're going to make that banana shape with our body. So start by bringing your feet close together, arms overhead, and you can stretch up and down here for a moment. It should feel nice. And then as you're ready, start to walk your hands and your feet to the right side of your yoga mat or your yoga space so that from a bird's eye view, your body makes a little bit of a banana shape or a C curve. You can have your arms long, or you can bend your arms so that you catch opposite elbow and opposite hand. You can also place one palm on top of the other. And if you'd like, you can cross your left foot over your right foot. Then you might feel a little IT band stretch to the outer left thigh. We're just going to hold here for a minute. So when you're stretching the left side body, compressing the right side body. If you'd like to, place a blanket under your lower back, right? You're welcome to do that. If having the arms overhead does not feel good to your shoulders, you also have your arms down by your side. And the idea is we're just waking up our back a little bit here and reconnecting to our breath. Affirmation that you can use for this posture, if you would like to, is I trust my intuition. I trust my intuition. I trust my intuition. And this is part of our yoga practice. Often where I see people get hurt in yoga is when they're not listening to their bodies, maybe when they're trying to keep up with the person next to them or do exactly what they did the day before. If your intuition is telling you that you've pushed yourself too far or this just does not feel good for your body, listen to your intuition. And this is something that we're practicing within yoga is how to really listen to ourselves and trust that we know what we need in any given moment. And this takes practice, right? This self-trust, self-realization, right? Let's take 3 more slow breaths here. As you inhale, feel your chest rise. As you slowly exhale through your nose, let your body relax just a little bit more. So you're not forcing your way into the posture, you're just kind of melting into it. Breathing in and emptying out.
your hands or legs are crossed in any way, you can uncross the feet, the hands. And as you're ready, slowly walk your hands back into the center line of your body, feet back into the center. And then you can bring your arms down, let your toes fall open for another Savasana. So we're just returning to this neutral position between postures. So for those of you that have practiced yoga before, you might have heard the term asana, A-S-A-N-A, asana, which we often translate to mean posture, like a yoga posture. But it's actually a three-part translation. An asana is a posture held in stillness with breath. So especially in the age of Instagram, right? Sometimes what you see is not what's actually happening. Like you see what looks like a yoga posture, but that person might have only held it for 1 second and they might have been holding their breath the whole time. And it looks really cool, but it's not yoga, right? Yoga is about this stillness and this breath that helps us connect back to our body. Let's do the other side of Bananasana, banana pose. So feet close together, arms overhead. You can stretch up and down and flex your feet if it feels good. Nice little stretch. And then start to walk your hands and feet to the left side of the room, left side of your mat. Again, you can bend your arms and grab your elbows. You can cross one hand on top of the other. You can also cross your right ankle on top of your left ankle. And then just take a moment here to breathe. And right away, you might find that this side feels a little or a lot different from the other side. That goes back to that component that we're not symmetrical, and that's really not the goal of yoga, right? The goal of yoga, again, self-realization, God realization. So, if you need to bring your hands and feet a little bit closer to center so the stretch isn't as intense, right? If you need to grab a prop, you're welcome to do so. Our affirmation for this side of banana pose: I invoke the wisdom of all those who have come before me. I invoke the wisdom of all those who have come before me. I invoke the wisdom of all those who have come before me. One area where I see both my Christian faith and my yoga practice as being really complementary is that they're both ancient traditions, but they're also both living traditions, right? That are always evolving. And I love this idea, same way that, for example, when I say the Lord's Prayer, I can think about, wow, how many people have said that, before me, right? For like 1,000 years. Plus, right? Same thing with yoga. Like when I'm in my Savasana pose, I think like, wow, how many people have practiced this before me? It's a nice way to feel connected to our humanity and to our story as humans, right? And where we come from and where we're going. Taking 3 more breaths here. Notice where you might be fighting the posture or holding on to some tension. Just let it go through an easy exhale through the nose. Breathing in and emptying out. Your hands or feet are crossed. Slowly uncross hands and feet. There's no rush. And as you're ready, walk your hands and feet back into the center line of your body. As you're ready, you can bring your arms down, let your legs fall apart. You can roll out if that feels good. Just take a moment to breathe. Let your hands and feet be heavy. Just allow the floor to hold you up. Next, we're going to do what I'll call a supine butterfly pose. And this is a posture where you might want a couple pillows around you, but it's not necessary. You're going to start by bending your legs if they're not already, so your knees and feet are together. And then you're just going to let your knees fall apart, so your ankles come towards the floor and the insides of your feet touch. To get a deeper inner thigh and hip stretch, you can bring your heels closer to your groin. This is too much of a hip stretch. You can bring your feet further to the wall behind you. And if you'd like, you can place pillows underneath your knees for support, especially if you find that your knees are really far off the floor. Or conversely, if you are flexible like I am, but you don't want to be like all the way opening, it can be nice just to have some pillows so that your knees don't drop more than feels good for you. Okay. So make your way into this butterfly pose. And with the soles of your feet touching, knees apart, it's a great hip opener. Feel an inner thigh stretch. Too much is too much, too little is too little. All right, so again, if you don't feel anything at all, maybe bring your heels a little bit closer to the center line of your body. If you're feeling too much in the hips, bring your feet a little further away. We're gonna hold here for a full 3 minutes. This is the longest posture that we do. Now this is a hip opener, and oftentimes hip openers can release some tension or emotion from the body. The first time that I heard a yoga teacher say that, I think I rolled my eyes like, what do you mean our hips store emotion? Like, what does that mean? But if you think about it on a very biological level, when we're stressed out, we tense up, we hunch forward. And this is an ancient stress response of the idea of like, I don't know, if a bear is running towards you, what do, right? You hunch forward, you like protect all the goods, all the organs on the front of your body by rounding forward. But we kind of kept this stress response. So now it's not necessarily a bear that's running after you, but like if your boss says something mean to you, you might hunch forward, right? You might like round. So when we start to open the hips, when we open the pelvis, when we expose the vulnerable part of our body, it can be a little intense and it can release some stuff. So sometimes, I know people who will like cry when they do this posture or cry when they do a back bend. Or like laugh or just have some sort of involuntary response. So if that is you, when you do these hip openers, anything like that, just know that there's nothing wrong with you. And if nobody's told you this yet today, there's nothing wrong with you. Your affirmation, if you'd like, for this posture is, I am grounded. I am grounded. I am grounded. Hold here for another minute. Notice where you might be holding on to tension and let it go. Especially if you're someone that does not like to be vulnerable. This is a vulnerable position that we're in right now. And also, you're safe and you're held and you're grounded and you're loved. So if outside of your yoga practice you have trouble with vulnerability, let this be a safe space to practice what it feels like. This hip opener is a physical manifestation of maybe a deeper sense of vulnerability, right? Of opening our hearts, our minds, of being real with the people we love, right? Not trying to hide or pretend that we're something we're not, right? You're just giving yourself permission here to be open and to be grounded at the same time. What a gift. Some people call this the most spiritual of postures because it's the meeting of two souls. The soles of your feet are touching. I love that joke. I have to share it every time we do this posture. So your soles are touching, right? The soles of your feet, the meeting of two souls. It's a spiritual posture, kind of a joke, but kind of not, right? We're opening ourselves up to maybe something greater than just us. Taking 3 more breaths here. Inhale, belly rise. Exhale, belly fall. Easy breath in. Relaxed breath out. As you're ready, you can just start to lengthen your feet towards the back of your mat. You can remove any pillows or blankets you might be using. And then just make your way back into a more neutral position with your legs down, arms down. And you might also feel some sort of shift when you release out of this posture. Again, sometimes the release from a posture or an experience can be as intense as the posture or experience itself. So I also talk to people who, will do like a hip opener and they don't feel much when they're in it, but then when they release out of it, maybe there's like a surge of emotion or like a temperature change in your body, right? Just feel like your energy is shifted, or you might not feel anything at all. And I also really want to normalize that. Like, the same way I think when we're in church, have you ever had this experience? The pastor preaches, you're like, wow, that was it. That spoke to me. And then at coffee hour afterwards, somebody's like, I did not understand what that message was about, right? Or vice versa, somebody's talking about something and you're like, I have no idea what they're talking about. And somebody else afterwards is like in tears, like that, like blew my mind, that changed my life. Same thing with yoga postures. What works for me might not work for you. And also, you might do this posture 99 times and not feel much at all. And the 100th time, it's a whole other experience. So not only does our yoga, experience vary person to person, but it also varies like day to day and season to season. So sometimes we feel a whole bunch in a posture and sometimes we don't feel much at all. And both are really valid. And both of those get back to the idea that you can trust yourself, right? So you're trusting yourself, trusting your intuition. As you're ready, you're going to bend your legs so your feet are on the floor if they're not already. Take your time, roll off to one side, and then keep rolling and lie on your abdomen for a nice back bend that's called Sphinx pose. So picture in your mind's eye your favorite Sphinx. It can be the Sphinx in Egypt, in Las Vegas, in Harry Potter book 4. And think about that Sphinx in your mind, and we're going to make that shape with our body. So I'm going to show you from the side and from the front. The idea here is that you're lying on your abdomen with a back bend. So you can have your forearms on the floor. You can have elbows under shoulders, or you can walk your hands forward. Either way, it's a gentle heart opener, a chest opener, and a supported back bend. So from the front, it looks like this. And if you think about a Sphinx, right, you can kind of see why it's called Sphinx pose. Now, if you're like me, something will happen where like the shoulders kind of tense up into the ears. Actively push your forearms into the floor so that the shoulders are out of the ears. And if lying on your stomach does not feel good, maybe you're pregnant or breastfeeding, or you just ate a big lunch before this, or have some sort of other abdominal wall tension, something you can do is have a blanket or pillows underneath your thighs so that your stomach hangs off the floor. And now you're still getting this back bend, but you're not putting pressure on your abdomen. So this is a nice way to get the back bend without having your stomach be all the way compressed down, if that speaks to you. Shoulders down, away from the ears, chest proud. I am open to new possibilities. I am open to new possibilities. I am open to new possibilities. Holding here for 3 more breaths. We don't do this posture quite as long. As you're ready, you're gonna slowly lower down. Now, if lying on your stomach doesn't feel good, feel free to make your way back onto your back. Otherwise, you can do a belly savasana where you bring your elbows out, your hands in, and if you'd like, you can look to your right with your left ear, look to your left with your right ear on your mat. Some deep belly breaths, in and out through the nose, to massage the front of your body. Breathe deep into any point of tension. Let the floor hold you up. If you're looking to the left, gently lift your head and look to the other side. So you're twisting, stretching out the neck and shoulder equally. If you're looking to one side, gently lift your head, and then we're just gonna roll back onto our backs if you're not there already. Just making your way back onto your back. Nice. So belly savasanas are really fun, I think, as well as your garden variety on your back savasanas. Next, we're gonna do supine figure 4. This is a great hip opener. It's a nice side seat, outer thigh stretch, and it's also really good if you've ever had sciatic nerve pain, sciatica. This is your posture. So lying on your back, you're gonna bend your legs so that your feet are on the floor. Keep your left foot on the floor, lift your right leg up, and cross your right ankle shin on top of your left knee thigh, so that if you look down the center line of your body, you see a nice 4 shape. That's why it's called supine figure 4. Now you can stay here with your left foot on the floor, or as you're ready, you're gonna lift your left foot off the floor and start to hug your thighs in towards your abdomen. You're welcome to have your hands down. You could grab the outsides of your legs. I like to take my right hand in between legs so that you can interlace your fingers behind your left thigh. And we're just gonna hold here for a minute and breathe. And this is a great way to open the hip. You might feel a nice stretch on the side seat, the outer thigh. And if you have sciatica or know someone with sciatica, do this posture, right? You get a nice way to stretch out the sciatic nerve that runs from the lower back all the way down the leg. Try to keep your 2 shoulders and hips on the floor as you breathe. I release all that no longer serves me. I release all that no longer serves me. I release all that no longer serves me. Taking 3 more breaths here. Notice where you might be holding on to tension. Let it go, just relaxing a little bit more. With every breath, body gets a little softer. If you have a grip on your legs or thighs in any way, release that grip. Slowly bring your left foot to the floor, right foot to the floor. Let's do the other side. Lift your left leg up, cross your left ankle on top of your right thigh, and this time lift your right foot off the floor. You can do any grip behind the thighs that feels good to you. Keep your head on the floor. You can tuck your chin in just a little bit without lifting your head so that you get a nice long neck here. I am perfectly imperfect, just as I am. I am perfectly imperfect, just as I am. I and perfectly imperfect, just as I am. Taking 3 breaths here. If you have a grip on your legs, release that. Bring your right foot down. Slowly bring your left foot down. Arms and legs down. Huddle pose. Notice where your mind might be wandering. Just return your thoughts to your breath. Feel the ground beneath you holding you up. Just remember that you're safe here. If you're ready, bend your legs, feet on the floor. You can bring your arms out to the side, palms facing up. You can also bend your elbows, cactusing your arms like goalposts. This is a spine twist. As you're ready, you're going to start to roll to your right so that your left hip stacks on top of your right hip. Try to keep your left shoulder on the floor. And keep the knees bent, left knee on top of right knee, left foot on top of right foot. You are welcome to place a pillow underneath your knees or ankles, between your knees if that feels good. Your head on the floor. And take a breath. I am exactly where I am supposed to be. I am exactly where I am supposed to be. I am exactly where I am supposed to be. Sometimes at the beginning of a yoga practice, I'll think to myself, like even as I'm doing it, I'll be like, oh, I could be, running an errand right now or doing something else. Maybe I made the wrong decision. And always by the end of class, I'm so grateful that I carved out this time for myself. But in those moments, if your mind starts to wander or you start to think about like, I should be doing something else, that's a nice time to just remind yourself, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. My sales pitch for yoga, especially like to companies, used to be along the lines of, or to people in corporate America, used to be along the lines of like, practicing yoga increases focus, increases creativity, increases productivity. Like it's actually helpful, to do these things, right? Because you'll become more efficient, more creative, more loving, right? Whether it's at work or with your kids or whatever it is. And all of that is true. I really do believe that when we take time for ourselves, it is easier to serve other people. And I really began to push back against the idea that this is why we should practice yoga, right? I practice meditation so that I have better focus at work. Push back against that, right? Because the truth is, you don't need a reason to be here, right? Part of, I believe, like our God-given right is relaxation, is self-care, just for the sake of self-care, right? Like you are inherently worthy of rest. You are inherently worthy of time for yourself. And yes, I've found it does make me a better partner, a better coworker, a better friend. But also it can be just for you. And in fact, I think it should be just for you, right? You are exactly where you're supposed to be right now. And you don't need to have a reason why other than that you wanted to do this. Taking 3 more breaths here. Once you're ready, you're going to slowly roll your left hip back down to the floor. And let's do the other side. Lift your right hip off the floor. So right hip stacks on top of left hip, right knee on top of left knee, right foot on top of left foot. Try to keep your right shoulder down. Spine twisting is really good for back health, especially if you sit at a desk all day, right? You might have found by now that it helps to stand up, put your hands on your back, do a little back bend. But spine twisting, I think, is like an unsung hero of spine vitality. So throughout your day, even if you can't do a full yoga class, make sure that you're getting some back bends in and some spine twists in to relieve the tension of kind of hunching forward all day. Also good for digestion. This is an abdominal wall twist. If you ever have an upset stomach, I recommend doing a spine twist. That can release some pressure and gas bubbles from the stomach. Notice where you might be holding on to tension in your body here. Just let it go. This is our last active posture of the day. I know who I am and whose I am. I know who I am and whose I am. I know who I am and whose I am. So through yoga, right, this self-care tool, this community care tool, we get to know ourselves a little bit better. And if you, like me, believe that there is divinity in each of us, when we get to know ourselves better, we also get to know God a little bit better. And when we take time for ourselves, then it's also perhaps a little bit easier for us to see the divinity in other people as well. Right? We can be more compassionate. I used to practice next to a student who's now a friend of mine, who's a veteran, and would have some kind of involuntary PTSD responses during yoga that frankly were distracting. And somebody else once came up to me and said, "How do you sit next to him? Like, that is so distracting, all the stuff he's doing." And I truly meant this, not in a holier than thou way, but I said, I feel like I'm sitting next to Jesus, right? Like that this is like I'm being called to meet God in this moment, like through this person, right? And through my own compassion and patience. And I'm reminded that, especially in yoga group classes, when somebody does something, maybe a little distracting or they're new or whatever it is, I'm always like, that's like my encounter with God for the day, right? So seeing the divinity in ourselves, seeing the divinity in others, as we expand our compassion for ourselves, it is much easier to expand that compassion for others. And through yoga, we learn to be compassionate towards ourselves, right? And then it's easier to be compassionate towards others, remembering not just who you are, but whose you are. And that no matter, I can't, go with a UCC class without saying this, no matter who you are or where you are on life's journey, right? You are welcome in yoga. You're welcome in your body. You're welcome in your breath. As you're ready, slowly bring your right hip down, arms and legs down, final Savasana. You're welcome to place a blanket over your body. You can place a pillow under your head, under your feet, under your back, and make it bougie, get as comfortable as you want. Once again, take a deep, life-giving breath. Notice where you might still be holding on to tension in your body. Just let it go. Yesterday did what it did. Tomorrow is going to do what it does. Sometimes we don't have control over much, but in this moment, you have control over your breath. Take a slow inhale through your nose and a slow exhale through your nose. Breathing in, breathing out. I was on a UCC self-care Zoom during the pandemic, during like the height of the pandemic, and somebody brought up the line on the Bible verse, "Be still and know that I am God." And they mentioned that actually another translation of "be still" is unclench. Unclench and know that I am God. Unclench and know. Breathing in, emptying out into stillness. You are so deeply loved.
Thank you so much for joining me for this class. I teach full-time again. My name is Holly Hancock. You can find me on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram at Holly Hancock Yoga, and you can also find me doing work in the Central Atlantic Conference and the Pacific Northwest Conference. I hope that our paths cross again. You can always email me if you have any questions at hollyhancockyoga@gmail.com. Be well, friends. Thanks.